Leah slammed the door of her Brooklyn apartment, her heart pounding like a drum in a battlefield. The confession had slipped out in the middle of her sister's wedding rehearsal, right there in the echoing nave of St. Mary's Church, with Morgan's eyes locked on hers amid the sea of judgmental stares. "I love you, Leah," Morgan had whispered, but it was loud enough for Aunt Clara to hear. And now the family group chat was exploding with accusations, her mother's voice message a tearful tirade about disgrace and sin. Leah paced the small living room, her mind a whirlwind of regret and defiance. Why had she let it happen? Morgan, with her sharp wit and unyielding ambition, had always been the one pulling the strings in their hidden relationship. As an anonymous writer churning out queer romance novels under a pseudonym, Leah had found solace in the shadows, but Morgan, her former mentor-turned-lover, demanded more, demanded visibility that Leah wasn't ready for. The inner voice screamed at her. "You've built a life on secrets, and now she's torn it apart. What if this costs you everything? The family business, the inheritance, the fragile peace with her conservative parents?" She sank onto the couch, replaying the scene. The church had been filled with white lilies and the murmur of relatives practicing their vows. Leah's sister, Emily, radiant in her practice gown, had been oblivious until the gasp rippled through the crowd. Morgan, invited as Leah's friend from work, had chosen that moment to lean in, her breath warm against Leah's ear. "I can't hide anymore," she'd said. And then those three words that shattered the facade. Leah's father, a stern accountant from upstate New York, had frozen, his face turning crimson. Her mother, ever the pillar of Catholic propriety, had pulled her aside immediately after, whispering harshly, "Is this true? Have you been lying to us all this time?" The pressure built in Leah's chest like a storm cloud ready to burst. Growing up in a household where family values meant Sunday Mass and no questions about why Leah never brought home boyfriends, she'd learned to compartmentalize. Her writing was her escape. A world where women like her could love freely without the weight of societal chains. But Morgan, at 28, 2 years older than Leah, had entered her life like a force of nature during a writing workshop in Manhattan. Morgan was the editor who spotted Leah's talent, the one who pushed her to submit her first manuscript. Their late-night sessions over coffee turned into stolen kisses, but always with the caveat, "We keep this quiet until you're ready." Now, readiness had been forced upon her. Leah's phone buzzed again. Emily's text. "How could you do this to my wedding? Mom's crying." The guilt gnawed at her. Was she selfish for loving Morgan? Or was Morgan the selfish one for outing them without consent? The moral quandary twisted like a knife. In a society that preached tolerance in New York but whispered prejudices in family dinners, Leah felt trapped between authenticity and survival. She grabbed her laptop, fingers flying over the keys as she vented into a new chapter of her unpublished novel. The protagonist, much like her, faced a similar betrayal. A lover who revealed their secret to force a commitment. But in fiction she could control the outcome. In reality the stakes were higher. Morgan's text arrived. "I'm sorry, but we can't live like this forever." Leah stared at it, her resolve hardening. She wouldn't respond yet. Instead she thought about the price of silence. The years of pretending, the ache of unacknowledged love. But the price of truth? It might destroy the bridges she'd carefully maintained. The next morning, Leah met Morgan at their usual spot, a quiet cafe in Williamsburg. Morgan looked exhausted, her pixie cut slightly disheveled, but her eyes held that fierce determination Leah both loved and feared. "I didn't mean for it to blow up like that," Morgan started, reaching for Leah's hand across the table. Leah pulled back, the action a small rebellion. "You meant exactly that. You wanted to push me out of the closet." Morgan's face crumpled. "Your family needs to know who you are. Hiding is killing you, and us." The words hung heavy, echoing the internal battle Leah waged daily. Was hiding a form of self-preservation or cowardice? Society's acceptance of LGBTQ rights had progressed, but in her immigrant-rooted family, old-world values clashed with modern realities. Her parents had fled economic hardship in Ireland for a better life in America, instilling in their children the importance of fitting in, of not rocking the boat. As they argued in hushed tones, a passerby glanced their way, and Leah felt the familiar paranoia. What if someone recognized her? Her anonymous writing career depended on invisibility. Morgan, openly gay since college, didn't understand the terror of potential rejection. "You've got nothing to lose," Leah snapped. "Your family's supportive. Mine, they could cut me off." The financial dependency loomed large. Leah's freelance writing barely covered rent, and her parents' occasional help was a lifeline. Morgan leaned in, her voice softening. "But what about us? Am I just your dirty secret?" The question stung, revealing Morgan's own wounds. She'd been in controlling relationships before, ones where partners hid her away like a shameful habit. Now, in pushing Leah, was she repeating the cycle or breaking it? The moral ambiguity gnawed at both. Leah left the cafe unresolved, her mind racing. Back home, she called her best friend Sarah, the only one who knew about Morgan. "She's right, you know," Sarah said over the phone. "But the timing? That's betrayal." Betrayal, the word echoed. In loving Morgan, Leah had betrayed her family's expectations. In confessing, Morgan had betrayed Leah's trust. The layers of hurt piled up, each decision a potential minefield. That evening, her father called. "We need to talk, Leah. Come home this weekend." The command brooked no argument. As she packed, dread settled in. The drive upstate would be a journey into confrontation, where old prejudices met new truths. What price would she pay for love? And was it worth it? The highway blurred as Leah drove north, her grip tight on the steering wheel. The confession at the church had unraveled everything, and now, facing her family, she wondered if she could stitch it back together. Morgan's words replayed. "We can't hide forever." But hiding had been her armor, and without it, she felt exposed, vulnerable to the arrows of disapproval. Arriving at the family home in Albany, the familiar red brick house loomed like a judgment hall. Her mother opened the door, eyes red-rimmed, embracing her stiffly. "We've been praying for you," she said, the words laced with disappointment. Inside, the living room was tense, her father on the armchair, Emily pacing, and even her brother Tom flown in from Chicago. No one mentioned the wedding. It was all about her lifestyle choice. "Leah, is it true?" her father asked, voice steady but eyes hard. She nodded, the admission a weight lifting and crashing down simultaneously. "I've been seeing Morgan. She's more than a friend." The silence was deafening. Emily exploded first. "At my rehearsal? You couldn't wait." The accusation hit like a slap. Leah's inner turmoil surged. Guilt for stealing the spotlight, anger at being forced into this. Her mother chimed in, tears flowing. "We raised you better. What will the neighbors say? The church?" The societal pressure crushed her. In this suburban enclave, being gay wasn't just personal. It was a scandal that tainted the family name. Leah thought of her grandparents' stories, immigrants who assimilated by conforming, suppressing any difference. Was she dishonoring that legacy? As arguments flew, Leah defended herself. "This isn't a choice. It's who I am." But doubt crept in. Had she chosen Morgan knowing the risks? Morgan, with her privileged background, supportive parents, a stable editing job at a progressive publisher, pushed for openness without grasping the cost. Back in Brooklyn, Morgan had texted apologies, but Leah ignored them, stewing in betrayal. Tom, the peacemaker, suggested therapy, maybe family counseling, but her father dismissed it. "This is against God's will." The moral clash intensified. Leah's faith, once a comfort, now felt like chains. How could love be sinful? Yet, the Bible verses her parents quoted echoed her childhood indoctrination, stirring self-doubt. That night, alone in her old room, Leah journaled furiously. Her writing mirrored her pain. A character torn between love and duty, making a choice that alienated everyone. In reality, the choice loomed: stand by Morgan or appease her family. The next day, breakfast was awkward. Emily pulled her aside. "I love you, but this hurts. Morgan manipulated you into this." Was it manipulation? Morgan had controlled the narrative from the start, editing Leah's life as she did her manuscripts. Driving back to Brooklyn, Leah called Morgan. "You outed us. How do I forgive that?" Morgan's voice cracked. "I was scared of losing you to your fears." The revelation hit. Morgan's push stemmed from her own insecurities, past relationships where she was hidden away. Their love was a battlefield of mutual wounds. Back home, Leah faced another shock. An email from her publisher. Morgan, as her editor, had pitched Leah's coming-out story as a memoir. This could be huge, it read. Fury boiled. Morgan had turned their private pain into professional gain. Confronting her at work, Leah stormed into the office. You used me. Morgan denied it, but the evidence was there. A proposal outlining their relationship as inspirational drama. The betrayal deepened. Morgan admitted. I thought it would force us forward. But at what cost? Leah's anonymity shattered. Her family further alienated. She walked out, questioning everything. Was love worth this damage? The societal mirror reflected back. In a world praising queer visibility, hidden struggles like hers were overlooked. Days blurred into isolation. Leah avoided calls, immersing in writing. Her novel's plot twisted. Betrayal leading to empowerment. But real life was messy. A surprise visit from her mother shifted things. I don't understand, but I don't want to lose you. The tentative olive branch sparked hope, but also conflict. Accepting it meant possibly sidelining Morgan. Morgan, meanwhile, faced her own reckoning. Fired from the publisher for conflict of interest, she texted Leah. I lost everything for us. The sacrifice flipped the script. Was Morgan the villain or the catalyst? Leah's heart ached with complexity. Leah stared at the text from Morgan. The words I lost everything burning into her screen. The church confession had been the spark, but now the fire consumed them both, leaving ashes of trust and careers. In the quiet of her apartment, Leah wrestled with empathy and rage. Morgan's unemployment a direct result of her impulsive actions. Yet it felt like another manipulation tactic. She met Morgan in Central Park. The autumn leaves an ironic backdrop to their crumbling relationship. You pitched our story without asking, Leah accused, voice trembling. Morgan's eyes filled with tears. I was desperate. Your writing is brilliant. I thought sharing our truth would heal us. But truth at whose expense? Leah's inner voice raged. She's always controlled the narrative, editing your life to fit her vision. As they walked, Morgan revealed her backstory. Growing up in a liberal San Francisco family, coming out at 16 to applause, but later relationships where partners used her openness against her. I vowed never to be hidden again, she said. The confession humanized her, but didn't excuse the betrayal. Leah shared her own scars, the subtle homophobia in her family, the pressure to marry a nice boy, the fear of being disowned. The conversation turned to societal divides. In progressive New York, they could hold hands but venture upstate and stares followed. We're privileged in bubbles, Leah mused. But burst it, and the prejudice floods in. Morgan nodded. Admitting her privilege blinded her to Leah's realities. The moral dilemma deepened. Was forcing visibility ethical when it endangered the vulnerable? Back home, Leah's family dynamics shifted. Emily called apologetic. I overreacted. But Mom's struggling. The wedding was postponed, a casualty of the drama. Guilt surged. Leah's love had disrupted her sister's joy. Was sacrificing family harmony for personal happiness selfish? Her father emailed a long message, quoting scripture but ending with, I love you but this is hard. The conditional love stung. Leah pondered the ethics. Parents raised her with their values. Did she owe them conformity? Or did authenticity trump filial duty? Morgan, jobless, moved in temporarily with friends, her texts pleading for reconciliation. Leah ignored them, focusing on her writing. Her novel evolved. A tale of two women navigating betrayal, where one character's sacrifice leads to the other's awakening. But in drafting, Leah questioned her own choices. Had she enabled Morgan's control by staying silent? A turning point came at a queer support group Leah attended anonymously. Stories of outing traumas mirrored hers, but also tales of empowerment through visibility. One woman shared, my partner's push saved me from a life of lies. Doubt crept in. Was Morgan's act a misguided gift? Confronting this, Leah invited Morgan over. The air was thick with tension. You took my agency, Leah said. Morgan countered. You were complicit in hiding us. The argument escalated, unearthing resentments. Morgan admitted jealousy of Leah's talent, her pitches an attempt to ride coattails. The revelation shattered illusions, their love tainted by ambition. Leah kicked her out, alone with the wreckage. Days later, her publisher offered a solo deal for her novel, Sans memoir. Opportunity knocked, but at the cost of her relationship. The irony. Morgan's betrayal birthed Leah's independence. Family therapy began virtually. Her parents listened as Leah explained her identity. Tears flowed, prejudices challenged. "I didn't choose this," she said. Her mother admitted fears rooted in societal judgment. Progress was slow, but cracks in the armor appeared. Morgan meanwhile spiraled. A mutual friend reported her drinking heavily, regretting everything. Leah's heart softened. Was punishment enough? The moral seesaw tilted. Forgiveness versus accountability. At Emily's rescheduled rehearsal, tension simmered. Morgan wasn't invited, but her absence loomed. Leah's family tiptoed around the topic, a fragile peace. But inside, Leah yearned for resolution. The wedding day dawned crisp in Albany, but Leah's mind was a storm. The church confession's aftermath lingered, a ghost haunting the festivities. As maid of honor, she stood beside Emily, smiling through the ache, wondering if her presence was a blessing or a curse. During the ceremony, vows of eternal love mocked her own fractured romance. Morgan's last message: "I understand if you hate me." Hate. It was more complex. Love warped by betrayal. Leah's internal monologue raged. "She gave me wings by clipping my chains, but at what price?" Post-ceremony at the reception, her father pulled her aside. "We've been thinking. If this Morgan makes you happy." The incomplete sentence offered hope but conditional. "But keep it discreet." The compromise chafed. Acceptance with asterisks. Societal progress boasted equality, but in personal spheres, concessions were demanded. Leah nodded, but defiance brewed. Back in Brooklyn, she drafted an email to her family. "I won't hide anymore." Sending it felt liberating, terrifying. Responses varied. Emily supportive, mother worried, father silent. Morgan reached out again, job hunting in vain. "I betrayed you for my fears." The admission prompted a meeting at their old cafe. Morgan looked gaunt, remorse-etched. "I projected my past onto us." Leah listened, her own wounds surfacing. "You cost me peace." But in sharing, healing flickered. They dissected the moral maze. Outing as violence versus catalyst. Morgan argued necessity in stagnant relationships. Leah countered consent's sanctity. The debate mirrored broader societal tensions. Pride parades versus quiet lives. Leah proposed space, but Morgan pleaded, "Let's rebuild." Temptation tugged, but trust was shattered. "Not yet," Leah said, leaving with mixed emotions. Her writing flourished, the novel a catharsis. Publishers clamored, anonymity shed. Interviews loomed, outing herself publicly. The decision weighed. Visibility's power versus vulnerability. Family visited Brooklyn, a awkward dinner. Discussions deepened, prejudices unpacked. Her mother confessed, "I feared losing you to that world." That world stung, but dialogue bridged gaps. Morgan found work at a small press, texting triumph. Leah congratulated, a thaw beginning. But a new conflict arose. Morgan's ex contacted Leah, warning of patterns, control, betrayal. Doubt resurfaced. Was Morgan redeemable? Confronting her, Morgan denied, but details matched. "I changed for you." The lie cracked foundations. Leah ended it definitively. "We're done." Heartbreak ensued, but empowerment followed. In therapy, Leah explored self-worth. "I deserved better." The awakening. Love shouldn't demand sacrifice of self. Society's mirror reflected growth. Friends rallied, family adapted slowly. But scars remained. Months passed, the church confession a distant echo. But its ripples shaped Leah's new reality. Independent, her novel hit shelves, reviews praising its raw exploration of queer love amid societal strife. Success tasted bittersweet without Morgan, but freedom sweetened it. Family relations mended unevenly. Holidays included tentative acceptance, her mother asking about dating cautiously. "Anyone special?" Leah smiled. "Not yet." The void ached, but healing filled it. Morgan faded, occasional sightings in literary circles awkward. Rumors of her in a new relationship stirred jealousy, then relief. Leah reflected. Her control taught me boundaries. A book tour brought confrontations. Fans sharing similar stories, validating her pain. One event, a panel on LGBTQ ethics, debated outing. Leah argued against but acknowledged gray areas. Back home, she journaled the journey. From hidden love to public truth, the costs immense: trust, family bonds, career stability. But gains? Authenticity, strength. Emily's baby announcement brought joy. Leah and Aunt. At the shower, family unity felt genuine. Prejudices softened. Yet doubts lingered. Did Morgan's betrayal ultimately save her? Or was it needless destruction? In quiet moments, Leah pondered the moral core. In love, when does pushing become harming? Society evolved, but individual battles raged. Her next novel brewed, inspired by redemption arcs. Life mirrored art, choices defining paths. As she closed her laptop one evening, staring at the Brooklyn skyline, Leah whispered to herself, was it worth it? The story ends here, leaving one to wonder. Was Morgan's forced confession an act of liberation, or the ultimate betrayal that no love could justify?